Are big tech companies manipulating what we learn and think each day, thereby shaping our lives more than we may believe or even wish for them to? Who controls what is right or wrong, true or false? Are we living inside this strange vortex that is leading to total control in the most dystopian sense? What's going on, guys? This is Hayden coming at you with another episode of the Pernosophy podcast, a show about life science and philosophy. On this episode, we're going to be talking about the big tech companies that we all know and love, that we all spend so much time on each day, and what it might mean for companies like this to be able to control the information that we're given each day. Now, of course, there's so many positives to the big tech companies that we spend our day on. For example, Facebook and YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. There's a lot of benefit for companies like this to enable us to connect, to enable us to learn, especially when it comes to YouTube. We're able to click on these pretty thumbnails with a catchy headline and learn about stuff that we otherwise wouldn't have. If you go to uni or school, for example, and your teacher or lecturer can't relay the information how you would best need it, you're able to just go online, and most likely there's a YouTube creator out there where they're able to put the information together inside short videos that will help you learn more than you'd ever learned before in class. And that's all delivered to us in such a good way. It comes down to the pretty thumbnail, then it's the nice editing, it's the creator on the platform that is delivering the information to you exactly how you connect with. And that's a huge benefit to these big tech companies. They're able to create this brilliant platform where we can just go on at any time of day and we can learn and connect. But there are problems to any powerhouse out there where they're able to start shaping the community and shaping the information. And that's not even talking about the addiction tendencies that a lot of us have, where, it's the first thing we check each morning and it's the last thing we check before we go to sleep at night. It's the refreshing the app for the notifications, for the likes, for the followers, even the lag time on websites such as Twitter, where it's a little bit of a delay before the notifications show up, and it makes you hang on that platform just a little bit longer. Now, of course, any platform out there, it's only meant to keep you on there longer. So they'll sort of do those types of things to their app where it takes that little bit longer for the notification to show up, thereby enabling you to stay on the platform that little bit longer. You might see an ad while you're waiting for it to load. And of course, that's all they're vying for. They're vying for their attention. And in a way, it's always been like that with any form of media. And you go back throughout history and it's always the same, whether it be newspapers or books, TV shows, there's always going to be an attention grabbing component for media like this, where, for example, a TV show, if it doesn't attract your attention in the span of maybe 10 to 15 seconds, you're going to flick the channel. And then with a book, you're going to see it on a shelf at a bookstore. If the cover doesn't attract your eye, you're not going to pick it up. So the book cover needs to be nice enough that you pick it up, and then you flick it open, and if the page is boring, or you're reading the page, and it's boring to you, you're going to put it back down, and the author's not going to write a book that bores you. So their whole goal as well is to capture your attention, to keep you engaged, to keep you turning the pages, and of course to buy the book. So in a way, there's an argument to be had that it's always been like that. But when you've got huge powerhouse companies such as Google, such as Facebook, that control so much that where there's nowhere else to go on the internet to get the type of connection, to get the type of information that these companies enable. As Roger McNamee writes in his book Zucked, users have no say in the relationship. In the event of a disagreement, their only option is to discontinue use of the service and lose access to an entire network of communication, which may include social opportunity and work opportunities. So in a way, users will stay no matter how poorly the platforms treat them. Now, of course, this is different to books and TV shows and whatnot, because the author knows that if you don't like their book, you're going to probably buy another book. The the television companies know if you don't like their TV show, people aren't going to watch it. And of course, advertisers aren't going to want to advertise during their show. But another big problem for these big tech companies controlling so much on the internet and being the powerhouses that they are comes down to what are known as filter bubbles, where we start to filter out the stuff that we don't want to learn about, that we don't want to hear about. So, on Facebook, for example, you might see it here and there where friends will write a post saying, I'm sick of these peoples and I'm sick of these people and I'm going to remove these people because it's not good for my mental health, for example. So obviously that is a different debate in and of itself, where the mental health of the user can't deal with a certain group of people or a certain line of thinking, and that's fair enough. That's a topic for another time. But they're essentially filtering their entire network of friends to become only attuned to what they want and what they believe and think. So it becomes a one-way path of just one source of information and one source of course, thinking. And that is fine, again, from a mental health perspective, but there are problems when you stop looking outside your bubble. So your little box of opinions, your little box of information, and it goes further than that, because these filter bubbles that, we get the recommended videos, we get the recommended TV shows on Netflix, for example, and that's there is a positive to that, where we're given videos, we're given information that we want to look at, that we didn't know we wanted to look at, but then it goes further, because the deeper you dive inside these filter bubbles, the more it becomes shaped towards these preference bubbles, where we only seek out one way of thinking, and then it shapes it further. So the bubble gets shaped even further. We get pulled inside our own little cave of believing only one way, and of course that is a problem, because there has to be that outside perspective, that opposition in our opinions constantly, and that will help us grow as individuals, because otherwise we're just reinforcing what we believe and think all the time. And obviously that is not a good way of going about life, because your opinions might be completely flawed, but you just keep reinforcing them with the same videos that you just keep watching, or the same people that keep saying the certain things online, for example. On top of all this, we do have the big tech companies, even recently, saying that they will start removing content that breaches their rules, that goes against the common thought. And that's fine, because it's their platform, right? They have established their terms and conditions, and they're able to kick off people that they don't agree with, and that may be spreading really bad information, that may be hurting people, and that's great to an extent. But the tipping point becomes who is deciding what is right or wrong? Who's dictating the truth out there? So you may have heard of Dr. Dan Erickson recently, where he was the doctor that came out and started talking about how the coronavirus wasn't as deadly as the media is escalating it to be. And his videos were getting removed from YouTube, and they were saying, we're not going to deal with people that go against what the WHO is recommending. We're not going to go against what the experts are saying. But how is this doctor not an expert? Somebody that's working in the field and dealing with people every day. When you've got the WHO as well being the expert, where, when the virus did outbreak initially, they were talking about how it can't be transmitted via person to person, that masks weren't something we had to worry about wearing, that even travel bans didn't need to take place. And, of course, the weeks went by and all of this did happen. The dictating of the truth there by saying this person is the only person you can listen to, or these people are the only people that you can listen to, everybody else is baloney and shouldn't be listened to. They're also saying on top of that the people that shouldn't be listened to, so the people that they're determining aren't the experts or do not know what they're talking about, and therefore is not aligned with their truth, they're being blocked and or removed from these platforms. So there's a big division happening inside all these big tech companies, where they're saying, well, hey, we don't agree with that. We don't want any of it on our platform anymore. Therefore, everybody on their platform isn't allowed to know it either. So then you're removing the ability for people to freely think. You're removing the ability for people to be skeptical about everything and be analytical and to choose what they want to learn, to choose what they want to believe. And that's obviously fine, again, because it's their platform, but there should always be the two sides. There should always be the ability to access all aspects of information for people to learn that they have to be the ones that take the individual responsibility to remain skeptical and to learn further, to question things. Because on top of that, we also have the experts such as Professor Neil Ferguson, who are saying we need to go into lockdown. We need to enforce the social distancing rules. This is how many people are going to die. And he was somebody that broke the protocols that he said the world needed to go into. And even now, actually, people are saying, researchers are saying that his initial modeling is a complete mess and doesn't make any sense. So the initial models that caused us all to go to lockdown via an expert are now being looked at, were frowned upon now. So in a way, by dictating what is right or wrong all the time and by siphoning the information towards what only the big tech companies believe is true, all these people are getting information that may or may not be true. You know, in the future, it might only be right in the current state, in the present moment, where people are, you know, getting the information going, well, that's how it is. And then they're flipping out about it. They're sending it to their friends. They're sharing it around. And then more people are flipping out because, of course, they all live inside their own little bubble of the people that believe in the same thing. So, of course, it just keeps escalating and emotions just keep running wild about certain bits of information. Now, of course, there is an argument to be had that the big tech companies know what they're doing. They know that if they start to just sort of bow down to the government or just to listen to what the louder people are saying, they'll be left alone. They'll be able to continue doing what they want to do. And of course, that is just to keep people on their websites, to keep them, you know, scrolling through, to clicking the ads, all these attention grabbing mechanisms that they constantly implement into these apps is only for us to stay on there longer, is only for us to choose their platform over another, which is why you can go on these big tech companies all the time and find the information that contradicts what you think. Which is why you might go down a conspiracy rabbit hole and the next day you're getting recommended more conspiracy theory videos. Sometimes these conspiracy theories are complete baloney, but the big tech companies are still enabling you to click on them, which implies immediately that they don't really care about what the real information is, but rather they just want to sort of display that they do care so that they're left alone, so that they can continue to build their company up to the height that they're, you know, aiming for. As McNamee also writes in Zucked when talking about user experience on Facebook, watching and tracking what users do enables them to get better at manipulating the attention of users. He also writes about how tech companies support politicians with campaign contributions and tech in exchange for being left alone. So what do we do then? Do we just succumb to these big tech companies and allow them to siphon the information to exactly what they believe the truth is, or just to siphon the information to what they want us to think they believe the truth is? Of course, there's many steps that we can take. We can limit our time on these platforms. We can, you know, maybe download apps that stop us from being able to access these apps on our phones wherever we are, whenever we're waiting for things, whenever we're bored or, you know, just sitting around doing nothing. We can also start to restrict being on our phone the last thing we do each night and the first thing we do each morning. So maybe leaving your phone in another room and using an alarm clock in your bedroom instead so that the phone is out of reach. We can take time off these platforms and maybe deactivate our account even when, you know, if we're just mindlessly scrolling through these apps each day and you feel a little bit guilty for it sometimes when you do spend too much time and you just think, hey, what am I doing still on this app? Maybe it's time to have a little bit of a break from it where you stop looking for that social acceptance and reciprocation. One of the big things that you can do is to turn off notifications in your settings so that your phone is not constantly lighting up and telling you, hey, someone's liked your post or someone's messaging you or someone's doing something that you might want to know about. And that'll help you just kind of start to wean off that that dopamine seeking that you have by getting those notification light ups each time. But hey, I'd love to hear what you think about this entire topic. Do you feel like your experience on these platforms is shaped towards one way of thinking, where you've kind of created your little preference bubble that enables you to only learn and hear from people that you believe in, that you align with? Let me know by jumping on pernosophy.com, where you'll be able to leave a comment on each individual episode. You can also email me, pernosophy@gmail.com, or you can track me down on social media at Hayden Perno. Anyway, I guess that's about it for this week. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next time.